roll call. Chair is here. Councilmember Druffel is here. Glover is not here. Hurt. Here. There she is. Yeah, thank you. Hurt is here. Mendez is here. Pulley. Pulley is in Roten's chair. Sledge still here. Thank you. Suwara. Syracuse is here. Toombs. Van Rees. Bircher is absent. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we have 9 present. I detect a quorum, so we will begin with a very brief update on our trash situation from Mr. Honeysucker and or Mr. Potter. Thank y'all for being here. Should be on.
Good afternoon, John Honeysucker, Assistant Director, Waste Services. First, I want to tell you all thank you for the support that you all shared with me in the passing of my daughter. I really appreciate that from the council and the administration. And so I did want to publicly acknowledge that. Thank you all so very much. With the update on the current waste situation, very briefly, we are trending in the right direction right now with the contractors that we have in place that are picking up the additional routes. I think in most of the districts right now, you will see an improvement where we've picked up the trash and the recycle. So that should be a positive thing that you should be seeing from your constituents. We're going to continue to keep moving in the right direction by making sure that we follow through on picking up the trash. There are some concerns with the backdoor routes that services that are not that they are currently behind on, but we are utilizing our resources to also help bring those up to speed. With that being said, I am open for any questions that you all might have.
Councilmember Druffel.
Yeah, I don't know if you can answer this. I'm trying to get this. Performance bond, as I understand, we have a performance bond relative to this contract. How does that apply, and how is that applied in terms of financials?
Red River did not provide the performance bond.
Whoa.
They don't have a performance bond?
That's correct.
I thought they originally had a performance bond.
Supposed to have one, they never provided it.
Okay. So isn't that a breach of contract in some fashion? I'm just curious. I'm not a legal person, but it seems like that would be.
You need to ask that Metro Legal that question.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? Can answer on that one. Okay, I think I hear an offer from the admin table to respond. Okay, we can get that information tomorrow. Thank you, that would be helpful. Okay, we will get that information tomorrow. Anything else? Thank y'all, we appreciate the updates and the effort that y'all are going to get us back on track, and all the information you supply is really helpful, and we are doing our best to pass it on to our constituents who apparently care a whole lot about garbage, so we need to get this right. With that, then we will go into our agenda. We'll begin with the consent agenda. I'll read through the item numbers. Please let me know if any of these need to be pulled off of consent. Currently on consent, we have RS 2022-1397, RS 2022-1401, 1402, 1403, 1404, 1405, 1406. On consent, RS 2022-1408, 1409. Those are the items on consent. Do any of those need to be pulled? Councilmember Hurt. Does that mean we need to pull it? Ms. Darby? 1402, duly noted, we're checking. We'll pull that one? Okay, thank you, we'll pull that one from consent. Okay, so then here are the items on consent. RS 2022-1397 sponsors Allen and Welch, approves an adult drug court and veterans treatment court discretionary program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the General Sessions Court to implement a DUI court to serve participants convicted of a misdemeanor DUI offense. Also on consent is RS 2022-1401, sponsors Allen and Bradford. This approves an in-kind grant from the Centennial Park Conservancy to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation to fund the restoration of the Parthenon marble cast in the Treasury Room. Also on consent is RS 2022-1403, sponsors Allen, Evans, and Welsh. This approves a contract between the Metro Board of Health and Nurture the Next to provide funding for a program coordinator for the Collective Impact Initiative, ACE Nashville. Also on consent, RS 2022-1404, sponsors Allen and Evans. This approves a memorandum of understanding between the Metro Nashville Police Department and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation for the MNPD to provide qualified officers and assist the TBI and drug overdose investigations. Also on consent, RS 2022-1405, sponsors Allen, Evans, and Hancock. This approves a Paul Coverdell Forensic Science Improvement Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metro Nashville Police Department to increase the toxicology unit's capacity to process cases more efficiently, reducing turnaround time and backlogs. Also on consent is RS 2022-1406, sponsors Allen, Evans, and Hancock. This approves a DNA capacity enhancement for backlog reduction program grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to the Metro Nashville Police Department to assist the forensic biology unit in outsourcing case sample analysis and purchase equipment to streamline DNA interpretation. Also on consent is RS 2022-1408, sponsors Allen and Evans. This approves a donation from Adler Horst International to the Metro Nashville Police Department for training courses for 2 MNPD K-9 unit trainers. Also on consent is RS 2022-1409, sponsors Allen and Evans. This approves a hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metro Office of Emergency Management to provide resources to procure items, training, and/or equipment for hazardous materials preparedness. I believe those are all the items. Oops, there are some on, nope. That is all the resolutions on consent. Do we have any of those need to come off? Do you have a motion for approval for the resolutions on consent? Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? We recommend approval. 9 in favor, 0 against. Now we will move to resolutions not on the consent calendar. First is RS 2022-1399, sponsors Allen Withers, Toom, and others. This declares surplus and approves the disposition of property in accordance with Section 2.24250G of the Metro Code. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded, and since we have Miss Angie Hubbard here, I would just love to have you stand up and say, yes, we have vetted all these for use as affordable housing and whether or not that is applicable. Thank you so much. Make it worth your time to be sitting back there.
Thank you. I'm Angie Hubbard, Director of Housing with the Planning Department, and I have confirmation that we have reviewed and selected the properties that we want to use for the next round of Barnes funding, and we are good to go with this list. So thank you.
This list is not applicable. Thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions on this one? Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Chair. There's one that's listed in the district, in District 17, and I did not sign on to this because I'm a little wary of it. It's a very strange triangular lot. It's at 54 Wharf Avenue. I checked with planning, and Ms. Milligan noted that while every lot and this is in the Wedgwood, Houston, Chestnut Hill, UDO, is buildable, so this lot is buildable. It would just be very strange to be buildable on. I have tried to go by this lot a couple of times to notice it and check it out on street maps. I don't know that I feel totally comfortable with this actually being included, and I know that I would require a late filed amendment, so I don't know if colleagues are okay with me filing a late filed amendment for tomorrow to remove 54 Wharf Avenue, but it's got 3 trees and 2 sidewalks on it, and I just think that if we're auctioning off what is a meaningless piece of property to potentially impact infrastructure and tree canopy, I'd rather not. So what I would ask colleagues to do is pass this, but also support me tomorrow because I'm going to bring a late filed amendment to remove 54 Wharf.
Or would you prefer to defer it and do that in
If you want to defer,
fashion?
it looks like Councilmember Mendez is in agreement with that as well, so I hope other colleagues are. I would ask for a 1-meeting deferral.
Meeting
That's all right.
deferral. And we'll just check, is there any impact from deferring this? I see some head shaking of no's on the mid, so thank you for that. We have a motion for 1-meeting deferral. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are deferring one meeting, and I believe we are 9 in favor, 0 against. Any abstentions? Next is RS 2022-1400, sponsors Sepulveda, Allen Withers, Bradford, approves an option agreement between the Metro government and James and Edith McClendon for the purchase of property owned by the McClendons at 0 Tusculum Road and 0 Bart Drive. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Sepulveda.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so this is for the purchase of the property that are 3 lots right off of Tusculum Road, which will be the location for our future District 30 park. And I do want to thank the administration and the council members who prioritized this in the CIB and the capital spending plan. As many of y'all have heard, my district was one of the only ones without a library, community center, or a park. And the community is very excited about this. So with that, I would ask for your approval.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? We recommend approval. Congratulations on your park. Next is RS 2022-1402, sponsors Allen, Welsh, and Evans. This approves a grant contract between the Metro Board of Health and the Mental Health Cooperative to provide outreach, assessment, and linkage to care for individuals identified as part of the opioid overdose response program. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Hurt needs to abstain. Any other comments? Seeing none, we are ready to vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So 8 in favor, none against, and 1 abstaining. Next is RS 2022-1403, sponsors Allen, Evans, and Welsh. This approves a contract between the Metro Board of Health and Nurture the Next. Whoops, that one's on consent. Never mind. Let me move to the ones that are not on consent. RS 2022-1407, sponsors Allen and Evans, approves a donation of an untrained police dog from the Cornerstone Church for the Metro Nashville Police Department to utilize in patrol tracking or the detection of explosives or narcotics. Do you have a motion? Any motion seconded? I just was dying to know if anybody can answer the question of what the story behind this is. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Commander Gilder, thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Chris Gilder, Metro Police Department. So one of our canines, House, he got unexpectedly sick and passed away. Can't remember if this was about a year or more ago. And I think it was like a neurological type of issue. And the members of the church were looking to do something for felt bad about that incident and his partner. And so they raised money to effectively purchase. I mean, they haven't bought the dog, but basically it's a credit. So if this passes, then what we would do is the place that we go to acquire canines, the credit is there that we can then acquire a new dog for this handler.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. And I guess that's a typical cost for the type of dog that works to
Yes, ma'am.
to be trainable.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that explanation. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Van Rees.
Yes, I just want to be clear that the donation would be restricted for this use only. Is that correct?
For the purchase of a dog?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's like I said, essentially what they've done is they've set it up where they will pay it would pay the company. It's basically like credit to be able to acquire the dog. So once this is approved, then we can contact the company, which is the company we normally use, and then we would acquire the dog.
This might be for legal. This is just set up as a restricted grant from a nonprofit donor. Is that basically what this is?
Is there someone at the administration table that can?
Not familiar with the issue. We
Can we find that out?
get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, we'll get back to you tomorrow on that.
Okay, thanks.
In an email. Thank you. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Chair. A logistics question. So are all the dogs in the MMPD squad, I guess, are they all trained at the same facility, Eagles Nest facility?
At the what facility, I'm sorry?
I think it's called Eagles. Is it Eagles Nest? Where are they trained, I guess is what I'm asking.
So we've acquired them from different places over the years. We had a facility in Alabama that we were acquiring them from. Those dogs were having some health issues. And so the current vendor is the Adelhorst Kennels in California.
So gotcha. Okay. All right. A little confused, but I understand. Thanks.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? I didn't hear you. Aye, there we go. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, we recommend approval, 9 in favor, 0 against. Thank you for answering our questions. New information. Next is RS 2022-1410, sponsors Parker, Withers, Allen & Young. This approves an amendment to the agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and the Metro Nashville Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure for the acceptance of work for 6 parcels of property for Phase 1 North-South Arterial Boulevard between Spring Street and Woodland Street. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Could I call on Ms. Wiggins, I guess, to explain what this is? This is the Spring Street and Woodlands amendment to the agreement. Planning. All right. Do we have the right person for planning? Thank you.
I believe NDOT filed this proposal, so Diana Alacron's here, but my understanding it's a clear. Sorry to do the ring around the rosy.
That's okay, we're getting there. Thank you, Director Alacron. It's always good to see you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is actually a correction and a typo. So it was originally a $50 million contribution toward right-of-way acquisition in that Pacific vicinity, and so the 8 falls before 0, so it was a typo, so we're correcting it.
Okay, that's easy enough. Thank you for that explanation. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we recommend approval, 9 in favor, 0 against. Next is RS 2022-1411, sponsors Allen. This authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Dorothy Wyatt against Metro government for the amount of $50,000. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I will ask the question I frequently ask, which is what was the consequence of this? And I can't remember which department. This was NDOT. Anyone from NDOT able to answer that question? Thank you, Ms. Alarcon. Getting your steps in.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Could you ask your question one more time, please, so I can make sure I answer it appropriately?
Frequently when we have these, there's a statement that says there was a written reprimand or request to take the day off from work, or
There was actually a written reprimand that did go along with this particular incident that occurred.
Gotcha. And I would just ask, how frequently do we require additional driver training or refresher courses in these cases?
I do not have that answer. Can I get that back to you, please?
That'd be great.
Madam Chair.
That'd be great. Thank you. But there was a consequence. I appreciate that. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? We recommend approval, 9 in favor, 0 against. Next is RS 2022-1412, sponsors O'Connell, Allen, and Withers. This approves a memorandum of understanding between the Metro Planning Department and the Metro Development and Housing Agency to advance the planning and reconstruction of certain areas of downtown Nashville damaged by the December 2022 bombing. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. My understanding is this is just moving the construction oversight from planning to MDJ, because that's what MDHA does and not what planning does. Anybody else want to say on that? Okay, any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? We recommend approval. 9 in favor, 0 against. Excited to see things moving on that. Next is RS late filed resolution. This approves a memorandum of understanding from the National League of Cities to the Office of the Mayor to participate in the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion Initiative to help city strategies that close racial and economic equity gaps. Do I have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? We recommend approval. Next is another late filed resolution. This sets up procedures for a pre-budget public comment period. Do we have a motion? Been moved and seconded. Discussion. I will open discussion, or Councilmember Mendez, I'll let you start.
Thanks. I have a couple questions. First, I think there's a typo. There's
possible.
a reference to Thursday, March 8th, which is not a Thursday.
Should be a Tuesday. It's been updated. Thank you for pointing that out. We don't want to confuse anybody.
And updated and published for the public. Which way did it go? Tuesday, March 8th. All right. And then I guess, so I'll just make the comment. So I like the idea. It feels like giving the public a 2-week heads up as opposed to more on a late filed resolution, and limiting the period to 2 hours may not be the best we can do. I mean, you're handling the scheduling, the budget stuff, so I guess I don't really have an alternative suggestion, but that was my first reaction, is that this is a good step, but like I know we're into limiting the amount of time because we all have got, you know, post-traumatic stress syndrome from a couple of years ago, but like if we're going to have pre-budget public meeting, I'm just not entirely sure about that it should be during a regularly scheduled meeting with a time limit on it. But I leave it to the chair about how you'd like to do it. That was just my initial impression.
Okay, I appreciate the comments, and I do welcome input from the committee on this. I'll just say, and then I'll recognize you, Councilmember Parker. This was born out of a desire to have some opportunity for public input in addition to the public hearing, which we are required by charter to do, and which will still nonetheless take place in May for as long as it takes. And every citizen has their 2 minutes worth. So this is not in any way a substitute for that. And this was an attempt to think of what other type of format could provide some input at an earlier point in the cycle. It is slightly complicated by the fact that the council part of the budget happens after May 1, and then we have our public hearing, and then there's a very short window of time to react to the comments at the public hearing. However, I think it's very important, as Ms. Darby pointed out when I made the suggestion for this, that we not confuse people into a perception that this is a hearing for the administration because this is the council setting this up. It would be a hearing for the council. It gives us more time to react, but we do not have the authority to set up a hearing for the administration. So, and I have heard from the administration that they would be uncomfortable if the perception were given that this were an opportunity for them to have adequate time to react to it as well. So we know what it's like to react in 2 weeks to something, but the mayor has a bigger job to do that. So I respect that concern, and I would welcome input here. Other suggestions that have been made, which would give additional time for notice to the public to participate, would be to move this into May when there actually is a budget to respond to, although my goal was to try to have it beforehand, but there are difficulties with that, which I recognize. In a perfect world, I would have thought of this last July or September. When did the vice mayor? And we would have set this for January when there actually is time. So I will just throw that out to whatever lucky person is budget chair next year, that probably a great way to do this would be in January, and the format could be something totally different. So with those many qualifications, I will recognize Councilmember Parker and any other council member that wants to provide input. I'm looking, there you are.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me, though I'm not a member of this committee. I think this is a big step in the right direction. I think any opportunities we can have to engage with the public earlier in the process are positive. One idea that I've had, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, is sometimes people have very specific comments about a specific department, like if they feel like parks needs more people because, the park near them is not getting the attention it needs, or they heard that we can't get this facility because we don't have enough operating people to get out there. If there's some way to integrate public feedback into the departmental presentation phase before council, I think that possibly asking for written questions ahead of time, or having some time for folks to actually address at the department level. And then, of course, this seems like a really good additional opportunity for sort of your bigger concerns. If folks say, hey, can you do the step raises this year? Hey, can you do this? Like the big picture stuff, I think would be this you can capture, but the very specific departmental level stuff, I'm thinking in 2 hours, we're going to have people bouncing all over Metro, with different concerns. And it just, if we could have some opportunity at that departmental hearing level, I think it would be positive. Thank you.
Good suggestion. And another possibility, I will say, this is like, once you file a bill, then all of a sudden everybody's got great ideas about how you should have written it. So this is good. Another suggestion that was made was using Hub Nashville in a way similar to what we did for the ARP fund survey, which I think is a great idea. And it's possible that could be put together in time for our department hearings, which may be what you're suggesting. So that may be something that we can do. I do know that there are groups that are eager to have an opportunity to provide input before everything has gelled, and I respect that and want to provide that opportunity in a meaningful way, but also in a way that is not confusing or that makes people think that it can have one outcome when we know it can't. So. Other comments or questions or thoughts? People smarter than I am on what we ought to do. So what we have before us is a resolution that would set up a process. Did I see a hand go up? Councilmember Pulley, and then I'll come back to my explanation. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Madam Chair. I guess at the risk of being the lone wolf crying in the darkness here, I just wanted to share with you how this initially struck me when I read the public comment period and how it was structured. And I actually kind of, when I look at the fact that we have a public hearing that goes on for as long as it goes on, and people can come to this public hearing and line up and stay as long as it takes to have everybody heard, in addition to a participatory budget process that we are now beginning to engage in. And the many community meetings that council members will have leading up to the budget process kind of struck me as sort of a good thing to have the time limit put on it like you have. And also I like the way that it's structured, how you have a limit on the number of people who are representing a given group, given the fact that all of the members of any group can be heard on our public hearing night. So I just want to share, it kind of struck me as a good thing, but that's why we have a diverse group of people here, so you can hear all these different thoughts. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have diversity. Yeah, so just to point out, as you said, it was structured to require people. It's essentially a blown-up version of our public comment period, which we created in response to some other desires to speak on topics that were not immediately before the council. Yes. Okay, certainly. Mr. Jameson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to reiterate something that the Chair had stated, just because of the timing of this, to echo Councilman Mendez. We like where you're headed. The timing is such, I just don't want to create any unrealistic expectations. From a practical perspective, the budget book has to be submitted to you on April 29th because of the way the weekend falls for the May 1st deadline. In all likelihood, with an 800-page budget, we have to have that essentially substantively done a couple of weeks before that. So a public hearing, 30 days before that gives us next to no time to incorporate what the public would say, because we go through the departments. The departments will have already submitted their budget submissions, so they can't react or process it or submit it as their own. Councilmember Allen did make clear that this would be done for purposes of the council's input, which we get. We do like where it's going. If next year it could be done in January, I think that's the appropriate tack, but we just didn't want to create any unrealistic expectations. One last note, I think March 15th may be in the middle of spring break. I don't know if that would impact attendance, but something to bear in mind.
It is spring break. That being said, I appreciate that. Further discussion, thoughts, or comments? Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank Mr. Jameson for his comments to make sure that we continue to be realistic in the things that we're saying. While this does appear that we are truly engaging the community, I don't want the community to get false hopes to think that we are really going to do what it is that they are suggesting that we do. Because it's not just that black and white. We have the period of time, and most of the time when we hear of people that come up and they express their concerns, most of the time the council makes the decision that goes against what many of them want. So I think we have to be honest and true to them. If this is going to truly be a community-driven engagement, and we really hear, we need to have outcomes that reflect what it is that the community says that they want. And we've got to at least have those type of discussions in a really true, honest fashion. It's really disheartening for me because to see that we put so much time and effort trying to do the right thing, and what is already in the cards to be done is done, regardless of what it is. And as people say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And too many times, even as council members, I found us being on the menu and not truly at the table.
Thank you. Other comments? So, we have a motion and a second and a good discussion, which I appreciate. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. But if this feels like a good idea, that's okay too. So that being said, all those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? All right. I'm gonna ask for a show of hands. I mean, I appreciate the discussion, and I need folks to help me out just a little bit. So all those in favor? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in favor. Any against? Just abstaining. All right. We will note this when we bring it before the council. I think this is an important discussion. I understand the concerns, and I appreciate the discussion. So what I understand is, excuse me? There are 2 people who haven't done anything.
Well, you didn't ask for abstentions.
Okay, so I have 5 in favor. Were there any against? Abstentions? 2 abstentions. There were 9 people in the room. Okay. Thank you for that conversation. Next is bills on second reading. This is BL 2021-912, sponsors Alan O'Connell, Swar, and others, amends the Metro Code to create a mechanism for the implementation of the Inclusionary Housing Incentive Program. Do I have a motion? Moved and seconded. I have a late filed amendment with a brief explanation. This is a bill that is a partner bill to BL 2021-832, which is on public hearing tomorrow night. This amendment simply spells out that the assessor's office would be the entity that is in charge of the calculations on how additional property tax generated by the bonus height program in downtown would provide the funding for the subsidy to pay for the gap in affordability in housing. That would be a certain amount would be set aside as a percentage of the additional square footage that is added through the bonus height program in the downtown code. So we discussed this in 2 other meetings. I hope you all have already heard this explanation. So that is all the amendment does. Are there any questions on the amendment? Then we can discuss the bill in just a second. No questions on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? Say aye. Any opposed? Are we down to 7? Okay, great. Thank you. All right, on the bill as amended, I would move for approval with a brief explanation. We've had a good meeting with the downtown partners on this. They had some good comments that we may well need to incorporate further down the line, so this may end up being deferred at third reading, but I would ask for your approval at this point, and we'll continue to tweak and try to receive input on it. Any comments? Councilmember Mendez.
Is there a fiscal analysis on this yet?
There has been calculations sent to, this should be revenue neutral. It's designed to create its own revenue.
So, but I don't think the analysis has a fiscal analysis.
We do not have a fiscal analysis.
All right.
Would you like one by third reading?
Well, I mean, as you know, I'm a doubter on that, about what the fiscal analysis is. So I definitely need to see that.
There should be a spreadsheet on your desk. Do you have that?
I see an Excel spreadsheet that is got some red boxes on it.
That's it. So that is based on information provided by the assessor's office on the market value for rents downtown and for valuation of properties downtown, that shows for a typical building downtown what the square footage is, what the cost to build it would be, what the cost to rent it would be, and what the difference for different AMIs would be on the rent, and how that could be subsidized by the additional property tax, using 50% of the additional property tax.
All right. So whenever we get a fiscal analysis, like, I know finance, the reason for that amendment was that their position has, at least several months ago, their position was they couldn't begin to figure out what the numbers would be. And I am interested in finance signing off on whatever the fiscal analysis is whenever we get a fiscal analysis.
Okay.
And I need to see that at some point. And then I guess it's been several months, but when I first asked about the various affordability levels and percentages that are in this bill, I got the sense that there's nothing terribly scientific about it. It's just sort of a starting place to try for a pilot period.
Those numbers came from this 2015 study that was done by EPS out of Denver when they did the whole affordability study. Since getting the information from the assessor's office and meeting with the downtown partnership, the folks that they put together with us, I've run those numbers past them, and I'm happy to get finance to sign off because they are much more qualified to do that than I am. But that at least provides something based on what the numbers downtown are.
So is that something you expect to get amended on third reading, is the way the percentages lay out in the charts in this bill?
Yeah, their suggestion was that it made more sense to base percentages on the additional floor square footage that was added as opposed to the entire building, which I think does make sense, and that does adjust the percentages. So that is an amendment that would be expected before third reading. And again, this may be deferred to allow more time to do that.
And this is amendable on third?
BL 912 is not amendable on third, but BL 832, which is where the mechanism is actually spelled out, is in the zoning code, and that is amendable on third reading.
All right. And then the other question I guess I have is, so I think the trial period for this is 3 years until 2025. And it's clear in the language that if it's not reapproved by resolution after 3 years, then there's no new deals, but the existing ones stay in effect. And I guess the interplay that I've been trying to figure out is, so Metro is never writing a check under this, right?
Technically, property taxes are directed into this fund in 912, which is what we're creating. and MDHA receives money from that fund. MDHA has a master lease agreement, and they will write a check for the full value of the rent.
So every year's operating budget has to basically reauthorize this essentially to sidetrack property tax revenue for certain properties over to MDHA, if I'm understanding correctly.
To Fund 912.
Right.
Which is what, I mean, the fund that is created by this Bill 912.
And so if the program didn't get reauthorized after 3 years, we'd still have to, every single year, have the operating budget have a specific, like I think it's more than a line item. I think the operating budget's going to have a paragraph in the first couple pages that says, hey, we're sidetracking some property tax revenue pursuant to 912 to pay for MDHA for certain things. And if any given year we take that paragraph out of the budget, then the program dies and all the units go to market immediately, if I'm understanding correctly.
I would have to defer to someone in the finance office to tell me how paragraphs in the budget that are ongoing items come and go.
I mean, this is part of the deal where we don't get to sidetrack property tax revenue more than 1 year in advance. So we can say we're going to do this, but it's subject to authorization every year. And I understand that any given year, if we don't include, hey, we're sidetracking X amount of property tax dollars to pay MDHA for this program off the top before we get to any other expenditures, if we stop that, affordability ends immediately, as I understand it. I've understood that that's why the lobbyist who wrote this in the first place was fired up about it, because from the builder's perspective, what do they care whether Metro continues the program or not? They get their extra height no matter what. And if Metro a couple years down the road decides not to put it in the budget, then they've got their extra height and they get to rent the units at market. And it's been a while since I've read the details. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly still.
As it is written, it sets aside that money, and if that has to be done every year in the budget, then I cannot dispute that.
All right. Well, I guess I'm just personally happy to keep talking about it. I can't vote yes on second reading until there's a fiscal analysis. I'd be interested in deferring it till we found out that it is revenue neutral with finance signing off on that also. But I understand if you want to move it forward.
And try to get that information for third reading. Thank you for that discussion. Other questions? Appreciate that information. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? 2. Thank you. So, who is left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 6 in favor, 2 against. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Good discussion. Next is BL 2022-1120, sponsors Evans, Allen, and Sawara, approves a contract between Metro Nashville Police Department and the Mental Health Cooperative to ensure the implementation of mental health training for Metro Police Department personnel by the Mental Health Cooperative clinical personnel. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstaining? We recommend approval. 8 in favor, 0 against. All right, is there any other business that needs to come before the group? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.